So I actually bought some new ShinHan paints. What's up, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another video. As some of you remember, I recorded a vid review for a sample pack I got of the PWC ShinHan paints, and I really liked them, so I went ahead and bought 3 other tubes, okay? And what I want to do in this video is show you what these look like. I'm gonna fill up a new palette that I'll be using for these, and we're just gonna experiment and have fun with those, okay? I don't want this to be like an in-depth review, not like an episode of the paint show. I just want to loosely examine these, check these out, and see what they look like mainly. So the paints I got was our Cadmium Yellow Deep. I hope it will focus. I've got Cobalt Blue here, and finally Cadmium Red Deep. Okay, so I wasn't really sure what I want to get. I knew that I want to get 3 primary colors so that I can just do anything I want with those. I'm really curious to see how this trio will work. It's like a warm yellow, a warm red, and a cool blue, which is a combination that I tend to find nice looking. Okay, so let's change the angle, and what we're gonna do is fill up the palette and start just testing these out. So I've got the palette here and I've got the tubes. This is a Van Gogh palette, and it's a great opportunity to thank Uwe for getting me this one. I actually took out all of the pans and put empty ones. I will use the paints that were originally here separately, but I want to make this palette sort of a primary trios palette, so I'll probably fill everything up. I'm going to explain in a moment how I will do so. So thank you so much, Uwe, for getting me this one alongside some pencils, and just thank you. I really appreciate your support. Now let's look at these paints. We've got here, once again, I want you to get a better look. So the Cadmium Yellow Deep, we've got the Cadmium Red Deep, and finally the Cobalt Blue. Okay, so these are the ones I decided to try out. And here's the palette. So the way I think I'm gonna fill it up is I'm gonna do something a little interesting. So I've been thinking for a while about isolating the different paints, so maybe putting yellows here, blues here, reds here. Now I have a few brands I want to try. So what I think I'll do is, especially the yellows and blues, I want to separate them completely. So I'm going to put the yellows here and the blues here, the reds in the middle. And this is going to be like a row of yellows, a row of reds, a row of blues. And they could be of different brands, so I'll probably have like here these ones. Here I'm gonna put some other new ones that I got that I will show in an upcoming video, and we'll see how it goes. And then I can fill the middle with other paints, maybe things that will complement these. So anyway, let's get to filling this up. So the left side, I'll switch. I'll do the left side with blues. So I'm gonna fill it up like that, okay? So I don't know how it's gonna react when I open the tube. It's the first time I open a tube by PWC, the large ones, okay? And I don't know what this paint is gonna behave like. So if you remember on the previous review, very nice and rich paint, I told you that there's an extra kind of distance from the base of the part that you screw. So this is a good one because it prevents the paint from spilling all over backwards and then filling in this part and preventing it to open next time. So this is a really good thing they do. So I'm gonna fill in this pen on the left. And so this is gonna be my blue well, okay? And I'm not going for perfectionism here, I just want to fill it up nicely. And in the middle I'm going to put the red, because it's less of a disaster if the red touches the yellow. Let me zoom in a bit. Okay, so next up we've got the red, Cadmium Red Deep. Again, not sure how this is going to react once I open it up, so let's see. The blue was relatively soft, so we're going to try this one out. Looks soft as well. So I'm going to put this one in the center here. So this one's a little harder, I can definitely tell that. Kind of messed up. I will bring a toothpick later on and play around with it. I heard that's a good way of making sure it settles and fills everything up. And finally, we have the yellow. So I'm going to add that to the right area. And I can already tell I'm gonna love these paints. Like the specific colors, I really like them already. So this is it. I'm gonna get a toothpick and just make sure that these are thoroughly filled. So I want to thank you for commenting and really taking part in the videos, basically, because this advice for using the toothpick I got here on my channel. So this one's gone. Now I'm gonna just make sure the red one is filled all the way up to the corners. Kind of messed up this area, but that's fine. And finally, I'm gonna use the other side for the yellow. Not really sure I'm doing it perfectly, but that's fine. I usually don't do that at all, so it doesn't really matter to me. But in any case, it looks like it is properly filled, so I'm gonna set these aside. And what's left to do is just testing these out. So let's see what they look like. I'll try to not contaminate the yellow this time and just have fun with it. The only disadvantage of this palette is it doesn't have huge mixing areas, but I think it's gonna be fine for smaller paintings and smaller work. I am planning on getting a palette that has just a few wells that are large or fitted for full pans and large mixing areas for outdoors. But this one I think I'm gonna really like. So anyway, it's really nice, I think. So let's just, I'll prepare some stuff and we can test these out, just see what they look like together. So I'm gonna start with the blue. So I'm gonna just grab some paint and put it here and let's see what this looks like. So this is the Cobalt Blue. Yep, Cobalt was it? Yep, Cobalt Blue. And I'm just gonna test it out, see if we like it. So a very happy color will be really good for the skies. Let me zoom in and I'll show you what I'm doing up close. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a really good look at what I'm doing. And I'm gonna show you what this paint looks like. So a little thicker, I guess. So it is pretty soft and I like the way it looks. I'm gonna soon try and get it as dark as I can, almost pure. So let's see what this looks like. So it can achieve a rather dark value. I'm just trying a few interesting angles with the camera, so I hope you like this one. Let's try out really diluting it with water and seeing what light results we can achieve. So this will be a really good sky color. I don't have too many cobalt, so I'm pretty happy about this one. Next up, let's try some of the red here. So I'm gonna grab some of it. And let me zoom in even more. I want you to really be able to see the texture of the paper. Because some other people really zoom in, and I never do that, so I thought it would be nice. So anyway, let's check it out. So this is a beautiful, beautiful red. I really like Cadmium's warm reds, vibrant, strong. I'm gonna try and make it a little thicker, even though it's pretty dark already. And this is pretty much what we get. Let's try adding some water to the mixture. So this one is like, I don't know if you can get a huge variety of values with this red because it's just super strong. But here I can really lighten it up like that. So actually quite the opposite, you can get a really nice variety. So finally, we are gonna try, I think, the yellow. Let's try just blending some edges here, just for the fun of it. So I'm gonna try out the yellow now. I'm gonna make sure I really clean up my brush. Let's grab some of the Cadmium Yellow Deep. See what it looks like. So very happy, kind of warm yellow. There we go. That was a good choice. I can already tell. So this is kind of what we get out of these three. Let me zoom out and show you the final results. So my instincts, I think, were correct with these colors. They're gonna be really good for just primaries. I think the next painting process I'm gonna do will use these, okay? Because I wanted for a while to try something new, and I think this is a really good one. What I want to try next is show you some mixes here. So let me zoom in and we'll start just trying out a few things. So if I grab some of the blue, and let's do that now. Some thicker blue. And let's see how it reacts to the red. I have a feeling they will kind of neutralize each other to some extent. So this is what we get. I'm gonna try mixing on the palette and seeing what their combination is. So I can tell that the red is very dominant here. I actually thought I put more blue in the mixture. Turns out the red really overpowered it. So I'm gonna try adding some blue. And it's funny, this starts to remind me of Ultramarine, but still very different. So I guess this is kind of the mix that we will get out of those two. I'm gonna try making it a little darker now. So I'm gonna use some thick paint of both. And this is what we get. So these two can get considerably darker if you just mix them really thickly. The next mix I want to try is actually the greens, okay? So I have to be super careful here with the greens, not to ruin my yellows. So let's first start with some blue. And let me know what you think of these kinds of experiments. I'm curious. So I'm gonna grab now, I'm gonna thoroughly clean the brush, grab some of the yellow, maybe let it mix a bit on paper, then mix it on the palette, and you get this. I like this green a lot. So maybe let's add just a bit more blue. See what it looks like. This really reminds me of my Happy Primary trio. So check out that vid. I'll probably link it somewhere. It's one that I like a lot. So let's add some more of both to this. Just more paint. Let me show you some of the mixing action here. So I'm just adding some more blue. And then I'm cleaning up my brush, coming back with some yellow and adding that to the mixture. The reason why I don't usually separate and I just go from one to another is it's just so much easier, and you can take a lot of time in between with cleaning the brush, and it actually wastes some paint. But I know a lot of people really like to keep it clean, so I'm trying to do that as well. So this is kind of the green we get, and I like it. It's not too vibrant, it's just the perfect green. Kind of reminds me of the Phthalo Blue, Daniel Smith Phthalo Blue and New Gamboge, though they are pretty different. The Phthalo Blue is much, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's different. This is the Phthalo Blue of Daniel Smith, just for comparison purposes. It's a bit more green, I think. Yeah, so it makes sense because it's a green shade. So anyway, now let's try the final mix, which is the orange, see what kind of oranges we can produce. So I'm gonna grab some yellow here, start with yellow this time, add a bit of red to it, and see what we get. This is the red. So that's nice, I like this combination. I'm gonna let these two mix on the palette a bit. It's really a challenge for me to separate paints and really be careful. It's not like me at all. So anyway, this is the kind of orange we can achieve here. I want to try again the green just because I feel like we didn't get it to be dark and clear enough. So let's try that out now. I'm adding a bit of paint here. We're gonna see this in just a moment. I have to thoroughly clean my brush after the blue. I'll need to add a bit more blue to that, so let me show you, just because it takes time. I'm gonna add a bit more blue in here. I can put some yellow into the blue, I don't really care about that, because it's more easy to clean. But in any case, so this is the green we get. And I really like this. I always like to test out the orange and green combinations because I just find that I love these colors. Kind of the, how would you say, it's like, I like to see the combinations that don't have the purple in them, even though we can see all three now. So in any case, let me zoom out a bit so you can see everything we did. So here's everything we did so far. So far I really enjoyed this kind of a combination, and you can see here, especially this lower area, what the secondary colors will look like, what the kind of purples, violets, greens, and finally the oranges. So far my impression of these is I'm gonna love them. I love vibrant, happy colors. Here's some of the what the palette looks like afterwards. I'll probably clean it up just because it's a new palette, but usually I just after a while stop doing that. I'm really pleased with the setup I'm gonna have here. I think I'm gonna enjoy it a lot. So I'll try and put different blues here, different reds here, different yellows here. And this is it. Now, before we wrap up this video, I just want to take a closer look at the tubes and try to see some information on them. So here are the tubes once again. Let's just choose one and go with it and see what we can learn from the tube itself. So we've got here the Cobalt Blue, 618 is probably the number in the brochure. Series D, light fastness is 3 stars. This one, if I'm not mistaken, is the transparency. So that's transparent probably. This is semi-transparent. I'll have to check these out and I will make a review, like a proper review, okay? So don't worry about that. I just wanted to show you some of the tube, and on the way, if we can learn something from it, then that's great. So this one is PB28, Pigment Blue 28. French Ultramarine is 29, if you remember. What do we have here? So we have the Cadmium Yellow, same light fastness, same series. The Pigment PY35. And here, the Cadmium Red Deep. This one's PR108, okay? So this is it, just kind of wanted to give you a better look. The PWC, again, these are the ones that are supposed to be good. The professional ones aren't really professional, they're more student grade, so make sure you are careful there. The tubes are 15 milliliter. I like large tubes, so this works out really nicely. That's one of the downsides of Schminka. They have very small tubes, so the 5 milliliter. So that's something that I hope they'll make larger ones. And anyway, this is it, made in Korea. These are very interesting. I would definitely give these a try. They aren't that expensive here in Israel, and I just like the way they look. They feel really good now. I will probably do a light fastness test in the future. From what I could gather, these are good ones in that sense. And also the most important thing I want to do is to actually make a full painting process with these that I promise I will make soon. Okay, so I have a few painting processes lined up for the next 2 weeks or so. So it's not going to be those, but the ones afterwards I will record with these ones and probably will use this palette. So I really hope you enjoyed this one. Let's change the angle and wrap up this vid. So this is it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really can't wait to try these out outside and really paint from observation. The palette itself isn't as suitable for outdoors painting unless there's a desk or a table or something, which can be arranged usually, so I think it's going to be really fine. Just really curious to see what kind of scenes and moods I can capture with these paints. One more thing, I will put a link in the description box if you want to get these. Now, there aren't any individual tubes on Amazon, so I will put the links to the sets of the PWC specifically. If you check out my previous review of those, you will see them there as well. So I'm not going to link to the professional or the chamois, I don't remember their name, only to the PWC line that from what I could gather so far is the best. Okay, so definitely check this out if you want to get these. I think it's like a 24 tube and a 36 tube. I honestly would not buy that. I would, if you can get it locally, get individual tubes. I just don't see the need in so many tubes. Unless it's cost effective and you want to try it out, feel free. I will put a link in any case because they're a bit challenging to find sometimes. So I want them to be easily accessible. So anyway, this is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in another vid real soon.